Good evening, Facebook. I'm Quanecia Fraser.
And I am Katelyn Rivera. We are here in studio giving you the latest in this year's election.
If you've been following our social media coverage, you'll know that we were at the courthouse earlier and we saw a lot of people walking out in that last hour before the polls closed.
And here's what we do know. After a very close Senate race, Republican Ted Cruz defeated Democrat Beto O'Rourke in both Erath County and the state of Texas. This is based on unofficial results and the Associated Press.
Also, Republican Greg Abbott won the race for governor against Democrat Lupe Valdez in both Erath County and the state of Texas. Now, we told you we would follow the election in other states as well across the country, and we're still waiting on a lot of those results.
The Associated Press is reporting that Mitt Romney won the Senate race in his home state of Utah. Democratic candidate Sharice Davids from Kansas will be the first LGBT Native American elected to Congress.
The Associated Press is also reporting that the GOP will have control of the Senate, but it's looking like the Democrats will have control of the House. So a lot of stuff coming out of this year's midterm elections for sure.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
for sure.
So something that we talked about earlier was that we saw a lot of Beto signs around town, and even with seeing a lot of those Beto signs, Cruz still came out on top. I also want to mention that we did do that poll, Texan News did do that poll about, who students wanted to vote for, and the majority of students did vote for Beto. So, a lot of people might find that surprising that so many students voted for Beto in our poll. But we did do the Facebook poll where the majority of people voted for Cruz.
We did a poll on Instagram as well where the majority of our followers on Instagram did vote for Ted Cruz, as well as Facebook. And Facebook, we had a little bit of mixed results with, adults who aren't Tarleton students, a lot of Tarleton students, a lot of graduates. It was a mix of everybody. So it just kind of told you what people were feeling, but there was still a lot of people pulling for Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah, it's definitely, we've looked through tweets. We had some technical difficulties, so we couldn't really show them up here. But we're seeing a lot of different tweets. We're seeing a lot of students saying that, they're upset that Beto won. And we've also seen some tweets of people saying that they want him to run for president. So
that would be very interesting. I think what we have learned is that Beto O'Rourke is really, he really pushed in this election. He went to every county in Texas. He really went out there and, talked to the people as well as Ted Cruz. But it did show that, Texas decided for Cruz.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying that this shows that Texas is choosing to stay red. We do know that Texas hasn't voted for a Democrat for statewide office in a number of years. So for a lot of people, they weren't really expecting Beto to come out on top at all. It was expected for Ted Cruz to win this election. So a lot, like we said, a lot of different results. This seems like one of those elections where you saw a little bit more come out from the Democratic side. Beto did have a lot of support from celebrities. I mean, Queen Bee herself, Beyonce, was endorsing him. You had LeBron James.
Greg Popovich,
a lot of
head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, LeBron James as well. But we also did see record numbers for this midterm election in votes, especially young voters, minority voters. People were really out there pushing for their vote. So it really shows a change from, the 2016 election.
Yeah. We've seen on the news. We've been obviously watching, different news sources cover this. Different other news sources besides ourselves cover this, and a lot of what we're learning is that this voter turnout is nothing like we saw in the 2016 election. Nothing close. Or the first time Ted Cruz ran for Senate. It's nothing close. So it's definitely. A lot of people would argue that it's surprising to see that this many people voted in favor of the Democratic side, but Cruz still remained on top. A big thing that we've covered in our previous newscast with this election is that Cruz, campaigned on being pro-Second Amendment. He campaigned on being pro-life, and a lot of different students I talked to, they said that they really, were pushing for Ted Cruz because they align with those values as well. So Ted Cruz really seemed to kind of resonate with people who have those values of Second Amendment rights and being pro-life, and also, you know, less federal government control for sure.
I think what we're also going to probably be seeing in Texas is a lot of change as well. You know, I do think that things will continue to change. We saw in this election, like I just said, with the number of votes. I think that, you know, that really opens up the eyes of the people of our state.
Yeah, going to be a lot more people showing up to the polls, you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, again, it's a crazy night, a long night. But we're so happy that you guys have been tuning in, keeping up with all of this with us on Facebook. We've been seeing your comments, liking your comments, all the support, and also on Twitter. We're not forgetting about you guys either. We've been seeing the retweets and the quoting and all that, and we really appreciate the support. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please don't forget to watch Texan News every day at 12:30 on weekdays. If you live off campus, you can tune in to Northland Cable Channel 9. If you live in the doors, you can watch us on Apogee Channel 2.1. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And be sure to tune into our website as well for all of your latest news. Again, live in the studio, Quanecia Fraser.
And I'm Katelyn Rivera.